set to take questions from abroad and from Ground Zero, particularly responsible questions. And we will not tolerate insults. Before we delve into that discussion, we're receiving some very good news from Undaunted. We've seen our fighters under the command of Sikh Dr. Samuel Ikomo-Isako, in spite of the chaos created by some short-sighted individuals, are taking responsibility. They are determined to that homeland is free amidst the chaos. We have this interesting news coming in from our news decks, and I would like to just go through some details of it in a few minutes before we receive Dr. Tita. And for those watching via our social media platforms on Facebook and on YouTube, share to someone, tell somebody we're live with Moment of Truth, Moment of Truth, Season 2, Episode 1. And Dr. Tita will be talking. So the ABC Amba TV breaking news updates today, the 2nd of March 2022. The Ambazonian Restoration Forces firepower hits hard today from the northern zone to the southern zone. And so we have Gap Ellison reporting. He says the Colonial Divisional Officer for Undaunted local government area, Timothy Aboloa, the Mayor of Undaunted, Nanji Kenneth Ebekunu William, CPDM subsection president for Undaunted, Akono, the Colonial Gendarmerie Brigade commander for Ekiti, the chief of Bekora, Matt Stanley, driver to the Colonial DO, and a staff man were killed at about 11:30 a.m. today at Bekora near Love Estate after an improvised explosive device, IED, set by the Ambazonian Restoration Forces exploded. Interesting and exciting. The operation was led by Field Marshal Ten Kobo of Undaunted local government area. This Undaunted expedition, plus that of Misaje and Bamuka LGAs, are promotions for the gloomy days ahead for the colonial occupier, La République du Cameroon. It is worth noting that those Ambazonian stakeholders who believe in the vision of the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia have donated somewhat more than 50,000 US dollars for Lava Storm 3 and counting. They are still donating. The President wants it not to be less than 100,000, and we're encouraging every Ambazonian watching that you can be a part of this, because the days ahead will not be funny. The days ahead will not be business as usual. Before I transition into the studio to talk with Dr. Tita, I want to have an examination, and let's review some things we discussed yesterday. I told you yesterday unwaveringly that the so-called unity warriors is a fraud. It is a mask. The real thing is something that pre-existed and that has failed. Rooftop by rooftop, block by block, as it was so called, or Christian from Norway. That was a lot, I would say a warlordism that was preceding our struggle for some time, and it failed. It didn't work because it wasn't a good strategy. What has worked, and that you know, is the Amba Peace Plan. What has brought the fame that Ambazonia has today in the international community is the Amba Peace Plan. What has given to Ambazonia some dignity, has made our story different, is the Amba Peace Plan. We cannot give away a winning strategy for what I call a bubble gum that lost its taste. We cannot, at this level of the struggle, breed, nurture, or culture, encourage any form of warlordism. We will not be warlords in Amazonia. Now come to think of it, how do you talk about plan and then the unity warriors defeat? Some involved, including fighters, some in the diaspora involved, including fighters, are ignorant of the game plan. The game plan is to return to what Amazonia committed some years ago. Amazonians saw it was a scam. It was not working and they gave it up. And they saw what was working and they went for it. Amazonians are not fools. They know what is right. They know the strategies. I told you last week when the president came into office in 2018, self-defense was no longer a discussion over the pages. It was a reality. We actually saw a strategy that worked. We saw mobilizations like never before. We saw mobilizations of resources, about human resources and financial resources like never before. Within less than months, about 10 volunteers from 13 counties willing to pick up arms and to defend their homelands. This is a history, and that we cannot forget so soon. Now, it was not without its shortcomings. The strategies was not discouraged. He came up draft for 2 years with draft. Like history has recorded, 2021, the best year. We saw the heights of the draft, the Amazonian draft. We saw what it did. And we're still seeing the fruits of it even today. I'm made to understand from the government that they haven't even started executing Lava Storm 3, and things are already happening. Today is a day that Ambazonians will have to celebrate, not because someone on social media has a big mouth and a loudspeaker to speak, but because somebody has a brain and that knows what to do at a time when the people are dying. I have told you, Amazonians, you must distinguish between noise makers and stakeholders. And how noise makers? Men who have been given responsibility to occupy the place, and they have nothing to show for. They had for themselves an anchorman show, and they went with it to start a new. Nothing. Noise makers. Are we going to continue giving the platform for those who know nothing to make noise, to take advantage of our love, and stand against our struggle at a time when we need focus to fight a common enemy? Noise makers on the social media are distracting, creating confusion. And now the second thing I want to talk about, that again is a bubble gum that has lost its taste on one side. The second thing I want to talk about, and to reiterate, I had that discussion yesterday, is ACT. Team ACT is currently showing a disgraceful behavior. Team ACT, or ACT, whatever you want to call it, was mostly enhanced, conceived and enhanced and encouraged and empowered by the interim government under the leadership of President Sako. Team ACT has benefited the love of Ambazonians, the trust of Ambazonians, because of the involvement of the interim government. Team ACT has been one of the most successful within the past 2-3 years, one of the most successful platform where nationalists could come together, even those who have just their wives and children with an organization. They had a place where they could talk. And suddenly, we now hear arrogantly that the interim government would have to be suspended by the same body that the interim government so bent. How unfortunate. The issues leading to these suspensions are not very clear. Purportedly, the claim is that the interim government will have to solve their internal crisis. Like, seriously? How is it your business? And if at all you thought that you have the authority to bring order within the interim government, there is a way out. At least we have a constitution. I expect Comrade Bo Hebbet and Akwanga and others that are there, I understand some of my mates have organization, to be able to read the binding interim government and to also help detractors, naysayers, evil practitioners to understand that very basic document. It is my belief, not because of an illusion of a dream, it is my belief as per our documents, our terms of references, that the defunct Restoration Council has always been wrong. And today they continue to be wrong. The defunct Restoration Council created a constitutional crisis and denied to be apologetic. In the midst of their chaos, they created more chaos. Amidst the stupidity, rationality of men in suits we expect should be able to read very basic English, they will go ahead to destroy a struggle. Unfortunately for them, they don't have what it takes. They do not have the capacity. They do not have the potential to destroy this movement. If Yaoundé cannot stop us, old men in the diaspora, demented Confucianists, will not stop our generation winning this war. We will beat Cameroon. We will win the war. We will save our homeland. And I repeat, demented Confucianists in the diaspora will not stop us. I'm calling on the youths. I'm talking about youths who have the patience, who have the integrity to study, to read, to know that a binding document so far has been respected by no other and has been respected better than no other than the interim government of President Sako. Forget about those who never understood it, who are not humble to be corrected, and let's make progress. At this juncture, what you have been waiting for is a few seconds away. I'll be transitioning into the studios to meet with Emmanuel G. Tita from D for us to have a frank discussion. Stay tuned.
Fellow Ambazonians, dear countrymen, despite the hike in targeted summary execution of our innocent people by Paul Biya's killer squads, I still believe we are now at the twilight of our political daybreak, emptying the combined worth and wealth of a lifetime fortune into the country of our collective dream.
A place we can surely call home.
at last. My people, the wind of total liberation is sweeping through Ambazonia, our priceless inheritance.
The land of our forebears.
A place we can surely call home.
A few years ago, a vicious dictator declared war on our sovereign nation of Ambazonia. It is a war we did not seek nor provoke, but are determined to muster every strength we can harness and continue sending the message to our enemy that we have risen to call home.
We have paid dues for everything. We pay tax for goods we buy. We pay fuel in our cars. We pay hospital bills and the dues for all other sacrifices.
I can give all I have for the one hope that I have.
Because I hate my CID, and I should be proudly Amazonian. What about you?
Let's get it straight. The freedom of Ambazonia will not depend on the free will of her enemies.
Independence will be but days away if we get it right with our CID.
My dear comrades, I am appealing to every Ambazonian to register with the CID program.
We have no control over our distorted history, but with our CID, we can set the pace and determine the future of Ambazonia.
Yes, the hope for the future is in our hands. As an Ambazonian, my identity is conclusive. My right is guaranteed. My vote will always count as I pay my CID.
As an Amazonian, I will shape the future with my CID.
With your CID of just $10 per month, the interim government is contract to fulfill all that you wish to be done.
Let us build a freedom mansion from the little block, which is our CID levy.
There will be food for everyone, hope for every child, justice for every citizen when we pay our CID levy.
Yes, the dream we can realize. With my compulsory independence dues, CID, I have the opportunity to give to the next generation a greater nation, better than we inherited.
Yes.
Hello, good evening, my brother. You're welcome.
Good evening, Comrade Paddy. Good evening, fellow viewers of ABC. Good evening, ABC management team. It's my pleasure to be here today. I'm extremely excited to be here with you, Comrade Paddy. Thank you for the great job that you've been doing for our people. Thank you.
Thank you too. I want to say that I'm proud of you for being a stakeholder. I can be proud because I know you personally. But today, this is not friendship between Dr. Tita and Paddy. Today is about me hosting you, standing in the state of the Ambazonian people that would like to get answers to what is happening and what happened, why, how, where, what was the objective. We have seen, Mr. Tita, that you would boycott a chance given to you by coup plotters. And we all agree that it was illegal, it was unconstitutional, and you boycotted. But initially you were voted. You were part of their meetings. I want to seize this opportunity to give to Ambazonians what I know prior to this time. Prior to this time, when this whole thing started, you and I had a lot of discussions. Back and forth, we agreed on many things, disagreed on others. We came to a point where you were outrightly discouraged, unhappy when Mr. Arnold finally created his TV, and you even attacked him and some others. And we had discussions. But to be honest with you, I'm saying it before this, in front of this platform. At one time, I doubted you because you used to update me with information, and at a certain time, you stopped updating. I doubted. My doubts increased the day you were voted into office in the ghetto via clandestine means, via an unconstitutional. I understand that a man who is supposed to uphold the laws of Ambazonia, I'm talking about Evis Cometa, was a part of a ghetto election that made you president-elect. You enjoyed the title of president-elect in the ghetto. I want us to get that straight. In the ghetto for some time. And then, on the day of your inauguration, you wrote to me. Purported inauguration. You wrote to me and told me you're doing an investigation. We had a debate. When you were about leaving, what she wrote to me, that when you get to her, we will talk. And before then, you wrote a message, says, my brother, I'm done with my investigation, I will call you. These are your words, I have screenshots. And then I'm like, investigation or inauguration? You said, you laughed and said investigation. Then, 48 hours later, you decided to unveil what your real objectives were. With your permission, I'm going to read very quickly the letter you sent to the Ambazonian public and copied everyone that was involved. I understand you sent out that letter and copied the president. You send it to the public. And I'll read this letter real quickly and we will talk. You have all the time. You have at least 90 minutes to just talk. Talk to Ambazonians how it started and where you are. Look, I read your letter. Please, Ambazonians, be patient. Dr. Tita will speak. I read. Bringing Mr. Evis Cometa, that was the title of your letter, Mr. Evis Cometa and the Dysfunctional Restoration Council to account. Dear compatriots.
That's the second letter.
Okay, this is the second letter. Okay, maybe I should read the first one. Okay. I think I should read the first and the second because they're all very interesting. I just have many of your letters. So you said, dear compatriots, I joined this revolution like most of you to fight the enemy, take our country back and fight anything and anyone who stands in our way. I was one of those who believed that the Restoration Council, a knowing case against the president as presented by some of our compatriots. And I believe that if properly impeached, he should be replaced. But I was mistaken. I am objective and I believe in institutions and in the supremacy of the Constitution. I engaged in this process of change, the purported nomination and election of the office of President of Ambazonia to replace our current president with a belief that it was the right thing to do, but with the intention to also investigate and be sure that history will not put me on the wrong side. Fellow compatriots, I have some alarming discoveries. These are the discoveries we want to know today. Some alarming discoveries which have caused me to reconsider my judgment today. My conscience will not allow me to continue in what appears to be an enterprise of hate that has the propensity to destroy our struggle for a free homeland. I discovered after close observation and investigation that most of what Chairman Comita and his group based their so-called impeachment on were innuendos and fabrications. I was not given a single credible proof. I was not given a single credible proof.
Yes.
And from the integrity of my heart, I decided that I won't be a part of a project founded on lies. I won't be part of a project on lies. I believe that our house, the IG, needs some fixes. I also believe that the struggle needs some fixes. But we cannot do this through hate and self-destruction. I want to ask Ambazonians, or anyone who thought before now that I choose the wrong side, to forgive me. That's quite humble of you. Congratulations. But I also believe that if I didn't do this, I probably wouldn't have discovered the true intentions of the masterminds of the enterprises of hate against our struggle. The masterminds of the enterprises of hate against our struggle. Sometime in the future, which today gives us a chance to start, I will speak to you and others in greater detail about my discoveries and all the reasons that informed my decision to withdraw from the flawed process of replacing the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikomesako. And even if our intentions were good and the process wasn't flawed, and everything was done in full legality and constitutionality, my family's security is paramount at this time. Thank you for your thoughtfulness and understanding. Dr. Tita, before you go to the history as to what happened, how it all started, I want to ask you two questions. Number one, some coup plotters are saying that you were actually a spy. From the onset, you were never with them. You were a spy. Is that true? Yes or no?
Yeah, before I answer your question, Comrade Paddy, thank you again once more for having me here. Before I say one word, I really like to thank General Ten Kobo and all the ARFs in Dian County for the great job that they just did today. But not only that, I would really like to thank the chairman for Dian County, Tata Edwin Kamar, and all the defense reps for Dian for a phenomenal job. They have made Dian a major stakeholder in this our liberation struggle with the actions that they've been carrying on the ground. So we are extremely proud of Dian County and the job that they're doing. Again, thanks to the great leadership of the President, His Excellency Dr. Samuel Ikomesako. In regards to your question, whether I was a spy or they supposedly some disgruntled Southern Cameroonians think I was a spy when I came into their midst or not, I'm going to leave that for them to really answer, to be honest with you. But I'm going to give you a detailed explanation of my involvement and how I got engaged and involved with these guys that are disgruntled for one reason or another.
You're going to do that. You're definitely going to do that. You have told them to answer it. I like your response. Now the next question, after this, you give how you got involved, and I'll give you enough time to give it. The next question is, did anyone? I want to take this be very frank and straightforward. Did anyone, family, wife, children, Dr. Sako, interim government, threaten you to make the decision you made?
Absolutely not. No one could have threatened me. I mean, no one can threaten anyone in this struggle. By the way, I'm not afraid of anything. the Southern Cameroonians that are here within even my state in Florida or within my city here in Tampa know where I stay. I live in a very secure neighborhood. So fear is none of my concern. It's a neighborhood that no one can really access where I stay and my family stays. So, but even without that, even if I was not staying in this secure neighborhood or anything of that nature, I'm in America, and there is nothing that could threaten me or that could make me feel afraid at any point in time to lead this revolution. When is the right time? Remember, it has to be the right time, and it has to be the right thing for our people. And I will not succumb or go into some fraudulent deal that have been put together by selected few people to think that, you know, they could just manipulate Southern Cameroonians to do things the way they want. So it will not happen. So no, nobody threatened me. Nobody, not the government. Nobody threatened my family back home like some people are saying. Nobody, not even some of the fake information that Mark Barata, I'm going to call some names here, please. Permit me, I'm going to call some names on this show. That Mark Barata and some others, and I heard even Secretary Chris is propagating that false information that there's supposedly some sex tape out there that they're threatening me that we're going to put out. Nobody. That's all lies. That's some fake information. Those are huge fabrication. And what really bothers me is the fact that the same rhetoric that the message that Mark Barata is putting out there, Secretary Chris Ano is putting that same message. To me, that's a major thing that us Southern Cameroonians have to be concerned about. When these two people start speaking the same language, it's a call for concern. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I was about asking you another question, but I think you gave answers. I wanted to find out if you have any business interest in Cameroon, that your decision for drawing is in a way, but you have answered it. Dr. Tita, without any waste of time, how did you get involved into all of this and why? Please talk to us. I need to sit down. Well, I think I will be requesting for tea. Fortunately, I have a servant at home now. Should I say servant? I would say I can freely request for tea and coffee. I'll be listening. Ambazonians, please get your tea and coffee. Let's hear him talk. Go ahead, my brother.
Thank you very much again, Comrade Paddy, and thank you, ABC, for this opportunity. For the past 3 to 4 months, we've all experienced the turmoil that has been going on in our revolution, supposedly due to a leadership crisis. That's how it all started. That about one concern that Secretary Chris had raised, or because of some difficult moment that he had with supposedly the Deputy Secretary of the National Treasury, Ma Iringwa, and that he took upon that and went from one stage to another, as the president and the cabinet sat and tried to listen to him, or the president created a committee to listen to Secretary Chris. The problem escalated from one stage to another. And with that, it went from the month of December, when I was fully involved, because I was very involved in this, in trying to find an amicable solution to this problem that we are facing. It went from the cabinet to the Restoration Council. That went into the hands of, to those that we thought at the moment could really act quickly to solve this problem, but unfortunately did not act so quickly and dragged. All of us felt the pain. I was deeply in pain when I saw how our struggle that we've all worked so hard for was being destroyed because of people that have their own individual agenda. And as I'm going to say it now, because I say that from my experience, I see that these individuals had their own individual agenda that they wanted to push forward in the struggle. But going, like people like myself, like objective minds, that was just looking at the problem that we had on hand, we could say, okay, we did everything possible to solve this problem. I'm going to say, because my involvement, even some members of cabinet at the time confronted me, even either at the cabinet or at the back level, that I was not saying anything or that I was not involved. Little did they know that I can say for sure that I was one of the most active member of cabinet that was involved in finding an amicable solution in this problem, at the time. But my conversation or my discussion was just involved with the parties that were involved in the problem, and not out of those because I did not want to extend this to other members of government. This is not a building a clique thing like you see they are running out there. Like selected few have gone and said they'll create a clique or a camp by themselves and call them a certain name or whatever they want to call themselves. I call them a group of disgruntled people, and I can state for a fact what each and every one of them is disgruntled or mad about, in this struggle. So I can state that. So he went from there and went into the hands of the Restoration Council. The Restoration Council had this problem. Instead of dealing with the problem that was plaguing our revolution, they kept it and they kept on looking for other issues. They kept on attending to other issues, of which to me, I consider that as a huge distraction. Because we had one main issue in hand, which had to do with a Secretary Chris concern that he is calling for the president to, I don't know if he was saying that he should fire or he should remove the deputy secretary of the National Treasury to the presidency. And the president at the time doesn't think that the suggestion that Secretary Chris was making was the right suggestion for the struggle. And Secretary Chris is taking that out.
It was not a suggestion, it was an imposition, an imposition.
Okay, you could call it that, but I'm just looking at it from my own point of view. Yes. So instead of the Restoration Council solving this problem that we have, they left this problem grooming, and people are waiting for solution, and the solutions are not coming. Now these guys, it dragged, and the president is within his powers. He's trying to resolve the problem. That the Restoration Council is not resolving. So now, Secretary Chris has been out of office for how long, and he's not been talking. So the president took upon himself to say, okay, you know what, we need a spokesperson in the struggle, and decided to appoint Senior Barrister Fru as the spokesperson in the struggle at the time. And then I think a couple of days after, he decided to relieve Secretary Chris because we need he think at the time that we need a Secretary of Communication. Of course, in his judgment, which is the right judgment for the struggle, we need somebody that will be talking for the struggle. That happened on Monday. So Secretary Chris was relieved on Monday. The Vice President, Dr. Bongwa, was relieved on Tuesday. On Wednesday, the President appointed Comrade Eric Ate as the Vice President. On Thursday, these disgruntled people, Secretary Chris, Dr. Bongwa, all convened a meeting, an APP meeting, in which in that meeting, I heard that they voted for an impeachment of the president. So I said I heard because this information came to me on Friday. So this all happened from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday, the Secretary Chris was relieved. Tuesday, the Vice President was relieved. Wednesday, the Vice President, Eric Ate, was appointed into office. And then Thursday, these guys convened an APP meeting in which they decided to get a whole group of disgruntled Southern Cameroonians together to say they want to vote for an impeachment to remove the president. This information was brought to my attention by Ma Eli on Friday. I was shocked. I was surprised that, okay, hey, during a phone conversation, she released to me that, hey, this is what has happened. These people went aside in this meeting and decided to vote for an impeachment of the president. I'm like, how did this happen? So I immediately started finding out who was involved, who is writing the impeachment letter, and what were the charges on the supposed impeachment that they're talking about. So I found out that that impeachment letter was being written by Barrister Nde, who is supposed to be the former Judiciary Council chair. That is what was brought to my attention. And yet, I did reach out to him, and even though he was very suspicious, but came to agree that, that was something that he was working on. And then after that, I decided to follow up on the charges. When the charges were released to me, somewhere, because Secretary Chris went out on his shows and he was talking about it, and he was talking about some of the charges, of which he accepted that one of the deals came through him. I mean, surprisingly, and that it came through him and Mola Edi, who is supposed to be the former chairman for Fako County. So these are the people that are involved. So I'm going to call some names. These names are very strategic. Yes.
Just a little bit. I want us to emphasize on something you just said. You just mentioned that prior to the purported impeachment and the ghetto impeachment process, you were not involved. You were just informed. Meaning yes. At the time, you were not trusted enough to be part of that organization. Am I correct?
No, I was not. No, I was not at all. I was not involved in that process. I was not at all. Yes. So that was just
Yeah,
brought to my attention.
based on my intelligence, I have also been well, I believe by this time you and I had a conversation. I don't want to go my conversation with you. I don't want to say it now. I will say it at the
Yes.
end. But my intelligence also shows somebody within the coup plotters at this time being disgruntled. This same individual just said to one of them, he said, I be clear when I say this Dr. no need for trust. So prior to that time, they had not trusted you because they were not including you in their platforms. Am I correct?
Yes, you're so correct. Yes.
You were not a part of the coup plotters fora.
No, I was not. Correct? I was not a part of it. I was not a part of the idea. I was not part of them convening the meeting. I was not a part of it. So that information was brought to me on Friday.
When did you become a part of it? When did you become a part of it and how? Just tell us. When exactly did they integrate you into the system fully? Let me know.
Hold on. That was way after the Restoration Council had voted and passed that they voted on that purported impeachment before they actually were able to trust me enough to come to one of their meetings. So, but before I get there, once I found out that, okay, these are the charges, that there was some of the charges that they listed on there, because it looked like those at the Restoration Council that were handling this situation could not really make up their mind on exactly what charges they're going to hold against the president, of which all of the accusations or the allegations mostly were all of them were fake, not even mostly, all of them were false, based on my own personal investigation. So once I heard some of these allegations that came from Secretary Chris, of which he himself was stating clearly that some of these deals came through him. Listen very well. Some of it came through him, and apparently, based on the way they constructed the sentences, or they constructed their story or their narrative, it was that the president took it, and when he was about to heal some kind of fruits, the president sidelined him. That's the story. That's the narrative he had out there. So the other person that was involved in it is Mola Edi, like I said, the former chair of FACO. I took my phone when I heard this and I called the former chair of FACO, Mola Edi. I said, hey, this is what I am hearing. Is this true? You know what he told me? He said, yes, doctor. It's true. It's true. I have it here on my phone. Whenever you come to DC, I will show you. You see? So he did not know that I could ever come to DC to ask for that evidence. Or maybe by the time I came in there to ask for it, he had forgotten that he had this conversation with me. But like I said, I tracked all of our conversation with them to monitor and make sure that we find the right solutions to this problem. I'm going to state here very clearly that I was very involved, and I've always been very involved in finding an amicable solution to any problems that we face as a government. Because remember, there are two things there's one thing that God have given us as Southern Cameroonians. We were born with that individual talent to fight against our oppressor. And that's what we are actually doing at the moment. Ground zero, we have all stood up, both from ground zero and in the diaspora, to fight, to kick the colonial masters out of our territory. But there is a time where if we have any issues within us as a people, it's not about fighting each other, but it's to come together and find an amicable solutions to this problem. And that is what I tried to do throughout the month of November, in the month of December, and some part in the month of January, some part of the month of January, for us to find an amicable solution to these problems that are affecting our leadership, so we can all work together. I strongly believe that we have to work together in order to free homeland at the time. So when I reach out to Mola Edi, and he said that, oh, doctor, don't worry, when you come here, I will going to show you all of the evidence. I said, okay, don't worry. At some point, I told myself, I said, at some point I will get to DC, So after that, it was all about the same way the Restoration Council is pushing on their false allegation, having people testifying. People like Secretary Chris talking there on the show, they are attesting to the fact that some deal came through him, and supposedly, and Mola Edi, who is the former chairman, that is also disgruntled about a decision that the president has made. Secretary Chris that is disgruntled that the president did not take his advice and has removed him from office, teaming up with another disgruntled comrade that is sitting there and said the president has taken over FACO. in order for us to deliver, in which the president made that decision in an effort to bring peace to the ARFs on the ground out of good faith. But these guys did not want to take it. The guys don't want to listen. They only want things done their way. And I can say this as a matter of fact, that Secretary Chris is known for this, and he can come back and talk to me about this issue. That whenever
I'm following section. People are saying you should not be calling him Secretary Chris again. And I think I know we've just made the secretary to him is like his name, and he loves the word. He loves it so much. Mr. Chris Ano. Yes, go ahead, please.
I would honestly love, because I know for a fact that Secretary Chris, despite the challenges that we are facing right now, I know for a fact that Secretary Chris has sacrificed for this struggle. I know for a fact that Secretary Chris has held an office in this revolution that have helped us to push this struggle to where we are today. That I acknowledge, despite the fact that we haven't all this confusion. Remember, this is a race that we're all going to run. We might start this race and we start running, and people might get tired along the way, and people might change along the way. Let's try and emphasize that, and we're going to give him the respect for the sacrifice that he has made, the sacrifices that he has made for the sake of our people. So please, just permit me, if I call him Secretary Chris, just take that out of respect. I have to give respect to him, and I have to give respect to any further comrade that has served in this struggle, and that has served before, and even that is still serving. It takes a lot of sacrifice. I must tell you, it takes a lot of sacrifice. It's not easy to put in the time and the effort and the resources that is needed to push this struggle forward. So please, my apologies about that. So just in case I called him Chris Arnold.
Your statement is so mature, and I think you're winning the love of a lot of those of you there. I hope your wife is watching as well. So go ahead.
Yeah, so let me continue now from the fact that when I called, I followed the process, and I called Mullah Edi to verify that, hey, this information, that these allegations that they are saying about the president, is this really true? Because this is huge. They had a false allegation against the president that the president has signed a CDC deal of 150 pounds, and that he has like 150,000 pounds. They have another false allegation that the president is collecting 30 million francs CFA monthly from CDC or La République or wherever they said that is, and monthly that is equivalent of about $60,000 to $65,000 a month. I mean, that's a huge amount of money. To be honest, that's huge, So they had their false allegations that they had, and I needed to see those evidence that they have. But before I even get to the evidence stage, so after I spoke to Mullah Edi, he said that. I said, okay, fine. I called I think during my conversation one time with Anda, who is the chair of the Government Affairs Committee at the Restoration Council, she talked about the evidence that she had with some members. I think one of them was the former Deputy Secretary of the National Treasury, which was Tana, he's supposed to be in the UK or something like that, that stated in his interview, and I have some of this. She shared that with me on that Sunday that I went to DC. I insisted for her to share those things with me. That stated that he gave $1,000 or $2,000 a year, and apparently to him that was not given or where it was supposed to be, and they cannot even verify that. That's the thing. This person just come and say something, and they just go with it. I mean, that was really flooded to me when I said it, when I saw what they were counting on. And these are so minute things that you use this to impeach the president. Are you seriously kidding me? Like, it's someone that have sacrificed everything for us, for the Ambazonian people. The president has sacrificed everything that you could ever imagine. His family and everything for the sake of this revolution. And then you come with some very, very minute, something very little. And they even quoted one instance of part of the session or the interview they had at the Restoration Council was stating one requisition that was done at the National Treasury, and they said that it was about 11,000 without proper documentation. And so how does this have to do with the president? What does it have to do with the president? I don't understand. What about those that are involved? It's the same thing like Secretary Chris coming and saying that he brought a deal, a supposed deal which is fake, to the president, and the president sidelined him out of it, and they're not going after him that he brought that deal. And they go now to a requisition that was done at the National Treasury, of which I know the requisition process fully. And I think that it's very normal for you to have withdrawn money. Every money that goes to the National Treasury goes into a particular bucket. If you talk to those at the National Treasury, they will tell you they go to a particular basket. Every money that comes to the National Treasury goes into a particular basket. And for you to get that money out, it has to be for that particular reason. And there is, I can say this for a fact because we are very involved and we are very busy. Somebody could have gone and put that money where it's supposed to be used, and just the proper documentation is missing. That's it. I mean, that's something, and I say this because normally when we do fundraisers, we used to do fundraisers at the HSS, and money comes in, we have to send those monies to the particular project. We immediately execute those projects. Money doesn't come and stay at the National Treasury. We take it and we send it to the ground immediately. Sometimes we go and collect that money without actually, because of the speed in which we want this money sent, without actually putting a note in that statement, in that, hey, this is going for ground 1, or this is going for ground 0, this is going to this. Once you make that error, once you don't put that note, there's no way for you to come back and fix it, because you have many things going on. You might have made that error again, but this is for the National Treasury to come and defend themselves. I didn't think that this was something that they have to come and hold it against the president. How did you miss the Secretary of the Treasury to accuse him for not doing the job appropriately? How did you miss the Deputy Secretary for not doing their job appropriately? How did you miss out the Treasurer at the National Treasury for not doing their job appropriately? Or the Secretary, the Financial Secretary at the National Treasury for not doing their job appropriately, to be accusing the president? How is that possible? So these are people that, this is where this thing could have started. We could have followed through with this system and go and talk to those that are involved and let them explain themselves. But this group of disgruntled guys just want to push it. They want to push their narrative, and they're looking for everything possible to come and add to what they have to push it, which is their objective, to accomplish their objective, which was apparently supposed to be to remove the president. That was their objective. So they look for every reason to come and push
So Dr. Tita, these were all your worries.
Yes.
Disjointed information, unfounded allegations.
Yes.
Fabricated evidence.
Yes.
Were your worries. You at one point you told me prior to that purported election in the ghetto, you told me that you're worried that what you have so worked for and others, people are trying to destroy. Now we understand you had worries and you wanted to do something.
Yes.
Without concluding your strategy, or what you would want to call strategic thinking, how and why, or how did you conceive this whole idea? I understand that you told me, Dr. Ngwambe, you and Dr. Ngwambe agreed on something. I would like you to be the one to say it. Prior to that day, how were you pre-notified before election day when you were going into that meeting? I know they have invited people. They have even invited me. Yes. So perhaps if I was there, perhaps I would have been voted. Or you see, anybody that shows attachment was eligible for presidency. Now that is not even the case. The question here is, did you calculate before time? And how did this calculation go through? Who were you working with closely at that time? If you want to call anybody's name, go ahead. But I know you had a discussion that brought your nomination and before the vote. So just tell us that process so that we can really go into Washington and know what happened in Washington. Then come back to Florida and give the night to Ambazonians.
Okay. Thank you very much again for that question. Now, there is before it got to even this impeachment, I already stated clearly that I was very involved in trying to find an amicable solution to this problem. Now, I think this is taught under internal and external locus of control. What can we as an individual do to either help the process, to make sure that we help to bring out an amicable solution to this problem, of which I tried so many times, I made so many attempts and so many efforts because of the sacrifices that we have done. And you see these individuals, because of their personal ego, just they didn't really care about the sacrifices that the majority of Southern Cameroonians have done in the diaspora, but their own personal interests, because they continuously push in their continuous effort to make sure that they destroy the struggle. That is when I started thinking that what can I do as an individual to either prevent this destruction from happening or doing something that would intersect to make sure that Ambazonians are fully aware of the truth. Because, give it or not, when they sit down there and they're working with the Restoration Council, the Restoration Council is working with some fake information that they're using to supposedly try to impeach the president. Now the argument becomes that of they call themselves coup plotters versus the president. Oh, they said that the president has done all these deals and with La Republique, the president has taken all of this, and then the president is saying this is not true. Now, we as strong believers of the president, we know the president is saying the truth. But what about the weak-minded Saudi Cameroonians out there that are listening, that have trusted for the past how many years, 4 or 5 years, that Secretary Chris has been saying the truth about the revolution? And now he's the one saying that the president, he's the one that brought the deal, which is a lie. He's the one that brought the deal through one disgruntled FACO chairman. That they're saying that they brought the deal to the president. So that puts the Southern Cameroonian population into confusion. I thought that it would take us years to be able to recover if we allow this falsehood to continue to go like that. That is when I strategically thought about, like, let's get into these guys and let's try as much as possible and take this thing from these guys. Because guess what? They were in the process of creating a new interim government in the diaspora. Can you imagine that? That would have been the second interim government in the diaspora, plus one that is sitting down there in Kondengi. That's 3 interim government for the same country. That I could not take. That is unacceptable. So that is when I said, you know what, okay, what do we have to do now to really stop this process? Now they have gone into this process where they've already done their impeachment. The Restoration Council is already looking into the impeachment. The Restoration Council, the committee that is looking into that impeachment, the speed at which they are working. I mean, they're not working as if they were trying to find a solution. They're just working as if they want to these things have to be done the way we want it. It has to be, the president had to come and either talk to us, oh, this is, I mean, it's not even that. It was just so fast in their process.
I like something you just said there. I like something you just said there. From your observation, they were not working as though they want solution. It's like they already had pre-made up mind and they just wanted things to happen their way.
Yeah, exactly.
That is actually what you observe. Is that what you observe?
They wanted things to happen the way that they wanted. Oh, you have been accused of this. Come here and testify. I mean, all of those things, they were so fast. They did not even give room. They did not even create time to even do a proper investigation. Something like this will come to their decks and then you say, hey, we are in a struggle. You don't know, we could have been infiltrated by an outsider to bring all of this to create confusion within us. That's the first thing that we think of when we hear certain things like this coming out. Where is this coming from? Can we really look into this? Can we create a neutral body that can investigate this issue to see that, hey, let's have a clear vision about this thing? But none of that was done. It was just assumed. It's because of he said, she said, oh, this man, the faculty said, oh, this person said, that person said. Oh, that is what you are basing your conclusion about? You basing your opinion about? I mean, just somebody, he said, she said. I said, even when I spoke to the chair of the Governmental Affairs Committee at the Restoration Council, when I came back from DC, I did not take their stupid oath that they wanted me to take. I asked her, I said, you cannot base this just on he said, she said, because we all have had little disagreement because of opinion, simple disagreement in opinion. People just get mad and they want things their way. One person wants this thing his own way. The other person wants this thing his own way. They don't see the pressure that is being done on the president. For God's sake, I mean, imagine how many calls the president receives on a daily basis as far as how to prosecute this struggle. It's not an easy task. You know, it's not an easy task. And if they think it's an easy task, let them go and do it. They say they have their own government now. Let them go and let them try and see. Have any of them accepted their own position there? Let them go and do it. And see how it is. To see the challenge that the president is facing. So when I saw all of this that was unfolding, I thought that it was necessary for me to chip in there for someone. I said for someone to step in there. But who is bold enough to go and infiltrate these guys and really step in there to see exactly what they're doing? When you look around, you see, I didn't really see that many people that can that will want to go there and try to fight. Because, again, remember that while this was all going on, the counties and the LGAs were withdrawing their members from the Restoration Council. These are people that have seen that what those at the Restoration Council were doing was fraudulent or was not appropriate, or they termed it unconstitutional. I don't like to use the big word unconstitutional because I want to talk in a way that the average person is going to understand on the ground, given the challenges that we are facing. So they basically that was unconstitutional, so they want to withdraw. But as they are withdrawing out of the Restoration Council, these guys, this disgruntled Southern Cameroonians are continuing with their agenda. They're continuing with their agenda, which is supposed to be, oh, we must make sure that the president is removed out of office. But unfortunately, like you were saying, that where did I come in? I came in by what, like I told you, the process when I started investigating and trying to talk to them. Even though some of them were kind of very suspicious, like you were saying, some of them were suspicious that there's no way they can have this conversation with Dr. Tita because they know for a fact that Dr. Tita is a staunch Sako-like. Is that how they call it? Or is that how they call it sometimes? So, but they know. That's how they call me. They know. So some of them was kind of suspicious, but some of them they gave in with the flow. So after all of that, the consultation with those that had some supposed evidence, after I spoke to them, I started playing with them now. I played with them by, forwarding them, how you call this thing? Some of the withdrawals from the Restoration Council, members that withdrew from the Restoration Council, I say, hey, these people have withdrawn. They started warming up. They say, oh, Dr. Tita is with us. That's where I came to be involved with. They say Dr. Tita is involved with them. So, but in that process, I think in that process, the Restoration Council forcefully pushed together in the supposed impeachment that they said they were supposed to do in the president. Mindfully aware that even they were trying to do this, even though it was not legal, as to say, they went and voted the supposed impeachment without even presenting the information to the president. I mean, knowing fully well that the Restoration Council
that is well known. The president, that is well known. The president was not consulted. Now,
yes,
what happened that night, the night of that nomination? Take us into that room. I'm talking the virtual room.
Yeah.
What was in your mind? What happened?
Please, before the night of the nomination, after the supposed impeachment by the Restoration Council, I joined the call, one of the calls. They were adding me to one of the calls, and we were chatting. And that is the first night that they shared with me the Zoom link to their meeting, the supposed disgruntled Southern Cameroonians. I'm going to use the word disgruntled and not coup plotters because this describes the majority of them. And I'll say that because these are Southern Cameroonians that we have all worked together. And I truly hope and believe that we will continue to work together to free homeland. So just permit me to use the word disgruntled because they are mad for one reason or another. And I can, every single one of them, I can pick up a point from where they are coming from, where they're mad for one thing or another. So, but that's a discussion for another day. So they pushed me after the Restoration Council supposedly passed the supposed impeachment. They added me onto one call, and then from there, they draw me into the meeting, which I was in there for just a few seconds, and I had to leave for a couple of minutes. I think for a minute or so, and then I had to leave from the meeting. So, and then after that, I think the Restoration Council now called for a meeting or something like that, and then, like you were saying, they called us into the meeting. But all throughout that process, I could not seem to have it in my mind that what the Restoration Council is doing is about to create another interim government in the diaspora.
So you did not think that they wanted to create another government?
No, I said I could not accept that in my mind that is right.
Okay.
They cannot. This is not appropriate. even regardless of what our differences in opinion is, of which we need to sit down and talk, and also acknowledge the fact that others have other opinions, and know that this revolution, the Southern Cameroonian struggle, was not written in a book that we've read and then that we have to follow one step or another on how we have to execute this struggle. So when you have that in mind, you get to think that, okay, you know what, sometimes we have to give in. Sometimes it cannot only be the way we want to. We have to give in as far as our opinion is concerned and let the other opinion be implemented for us to see what the outcome will be. And sometimes these outcomes, they don't necessarily take that long. I don't think sometimes the strategies that we adopt in this struggle, we don't think it doesn't necessarily take up to 6 months for us to even see a result. Once you get the money for the strategy, you put that money to it, you see results. There are very few projects that have taken a very long time that we were not able to see results, and that had to do with those that were handling the project. It has nothing to do with the president, So, so yes, so we went into an official invitation was sent to us after the supposed impeachment and supposed removal that they said that had done. So they sent us an invitation. I think a couple of us cabinet members to join them in that meeting. That invitation came from the chairman of the Restoration Council, Cometa, and also the chair lady of the Governmental Affairs, and to join them in that meeting. So in that meeting now, I spoke to Dr. Ngwambe, that you already called his name, about the meeting, and just in case, and that was just in case this were to happen, because this is what these guys are doing. Just in case that these guys go there and they were to vote for someone, I suggested that he should nominate me and let's take over this thing and shut this thing down. So when we went there, apparently...
Pause a little bit. I wanted you to give this information public because I'm aware of it. So you and Dr. Ngwambe, I want to use the word plotted, because the both of you actually knew what you wanted. That's based on the information you have given to me. You both agreed that in this midnight election or nomination, you should be nominated.
Yes.
And you guys had an objective.
Yes. I want to say this because if it wasn't myself that was appointed or nominated or voted for this position, it could have been someone else. Now, when you look at it critically, and this is why I say it's very important, we have to look at it very critically. And I must admit that this decision was made without consultation with the president. And I really want to apologize to all those that got hurt because of this decision that I made, without consultation with the president or with most members of cabinet, not even just the president. But it was, when I looked at it from within myself, I thought, what can I do to intercept this process, to make sure that this struggle does not get destroyed? There are people that are working hard every day to destroy this struggle.
Dr. Tita, I'm cutting you. So your initial objective, which you told me before now with Dr. Ngwambe, was to intercept the process.
Yes, because this information, the way these people were doing all of these things, were not clear. And I said, show me all the evidence. But you need somebody that can sacrifice and go in and look into these things. We needed that person. So when I looked at it from within myself, what can I do? Yeah, I'm willing to pay that sacrifice. I'm willing to pay for that flight. I'm willing to pay for that hotel stay, to go out to DC to look for this evidence. And so the Ambazonian people are informed about what is going on. So when we went there, it was a whole process. I can't really explain or narrate everything that went down at the level of the Restoration Council. So after, because they talked about the Constitution, and they had to follow up with the Constitution, handing power over to the Vice President, Abongwa, that actually gave it back to the Restoration Council to make the decision. So even with that process, they said the Vice President was supposed to take over the government, and the Vice President gave it back to the Restoration Council, and then for the Restoration Council now make the decision. Everything was so fast and everything had to be there. It was there, and then it was like There was no space
I
for you to
love
go
what
and
you're saying. You know what you just said now? I like Ambazonians to really hear it again. We'll repeat it and then we'll continue. In the night, in a clandestine ghetto meeting where the defunct, at the time the Restoration Council was defunct, the vice president was dismissed. They sat there for the first time that I know, now thought that they can go to the constitution. And in the constitution, handed to be dismissed. How can old men be this stupid? Amazonians, please, this will go down history. That Elvis Cometa, Dr. Bongwa Harrison, this should be an educated man, sits in the ghetto with mostly French Cameroonians, I would say, a mixed multitude, non-constitutional meeting, and then they now want to read some clauses of the constitution, handing power to a dismissed vice president, dismiss the hands it back to the council, then the council. If I'm correct, Dr. Titasi, the Restoration Council now vote for a nominee. Am I correct?
Yes. The Restoration Council now asks for the nominee.
All of that took place. Go ahead.
Yes. So the Restoration Council now asks for nominee. As a matter of fact, a lot of us were quiet. Even Dr. Bongwa is the one that started reading the names of supposed nominees that came from the group of disgruntled South Cameroonians. That this is the list of the people that they wanted to be on there, on that list. And then after he was done, and then after a bit of quietness, and then the power of positive thinking. I always try to say that. Then wake up now from Dr. Ngwambe to nominate myself as one of the people, So I think in total we're like 3 of us that were nominated, in that position. And then they voted to keep it short. They voted as that would be the person to lead. Now I said the power of positive thinking. Once they did that, I said, okay, good. Now we have to know the truth of this story. Because they've put it, that's what I just stayed quiet there in my mind, and I said to myself, now that's good. We have to know the truth of the story. Now, despite, as we left, I immediately there, and then I nominated, appointed Marietta, supposedly in that process, because she too was there, and she was one of the nominees from the group of disgruntled Southern Cameroonians.
Very quickly, Dr. Tita, before you make progress, why?
Yes.
I understand you have a lot of concerns. Just a moment. You have a lot of concerns when it comes to Marianta and managing people and things.
Yes.
But you, Adam, would choose Marianta as your vice. Why did you make that choice? It's something very important Ambazonians would like to know.
Yeah. Remember that the intention was to investigate this entire process. Remember that the intention was to show the Amazonian people the truth of what is actually happening to our struggle. The intention was not to bring in another leadership to come and take over the struggle. Let me make this very clear. So because there's so much that has been going on, in the background with the Restoration Council. So once I nominated her, and because that was one of the choices that came from the supposed disgruntled Southern Cameroonians camp, that she will be there. I said, okay, fine. I think we can handle this. So the Restoration Council voted, like you said, they voted me and I appointed her, bam, and then they finalized it, and bam. I said, okay, now it's time for us to know the truth. As I immediately walked out of...
So you picked a candidate that was going to build more trust around your investigation.
That will give them, exactly. So they will tend to believe me. Yes. They will tend to believe that, hey,
so prior to this time, they really did not believe you that much.
They were very suspicious. Even when I did that, they were still very suspicious. I'm going to say this because even it was brought to my attention that Secretary Chris had left from their forum, Dr. Tianjong left, Stateless Citizen and Reverend Asom left. Those 4 people in their forum that they had already created, and all of them were there.
So
that
they
they all
were
left
not
because
happy that
Dr.
Dr. Tita was nominated or voted. You
Exactly.
said
They were not
Chris
happy.
Arno,
Dr. Chianjo,
Reverend Asong,
Reverend Asok,
stateless
yes, and
citizen.
stateless citizen. Yes. Yes.
Okay, 4
So
individuals.
yes, they all left from their forum because I was
Go ahead.
voted there at the Restoration Council. So this is to tell you that they themselves were not happy. They had to call for a meeting for me to sit down and talk to them, and you know, they had all kinds of excuses. I don't know if Dr. Chanjo had his own excuse about his experience with me at the level of the HSS when he was one of the deputy secretaries, and even one time in the cabinet that he had actually confronted me in the cabinet in regards to these issues that we are facing in the struggle. That how come I'm not saying anything? I've just been quiet. I told him that me being quiet and not commenting on this forum does not mean that I'm not involved. I'm fully involved, talking to the people that are that are involved in the issue. It's not coming and commenting in the cabinet forum that resolve the problem. And I want to say this because a lot of people don't see me on TV because I'm not a TV person. I believe in doing the work, the hard work in the background for us to get things done. That's it. If you come to HSS, when I headed HSS, that was all I was focused about, working with a team that is very effective in producing results. This revolution is not about us in the diaspora. It's about our suffering people in ground zero. We have to know this, and every diasporan have to know this. It's about our suffering people in ground zero.
I'm just going through some of the
any meeting that we are holding in the diaspora, if it's not geared towards our suffering people in ground zero, in the refugee camps, in the prisons, to me, I think those meetings are not really helpful. So we need to know this, and we need to have this in our mind.
Dr. Tita, please. Dr. Tita, please. I'm looking towards the comment section. And Ambazonians want to know who the other candidates or nominees, who were you contesting with? Let's know, please.
Yeah.
That's information for public consumption.
Yes, I think the VP Abongwa, Dr. Abongwa, actually had a list. To be honest with you, I can just remember just a few names on that list. He had a list of people that he has suggested.
Know those just give the names that you remember, please.
Let's say on his list you had Marietta, you had Chairman Maz. Who else do they have on their list? You had Chairman Maz there. I cannot really remember them. But he had a long list of some people, some defense rep in Indiana, I think, or something like that. So he had a long list. He had some defense people even on the list as well that they can lead. But I'm not going to quote them. I could remember that Chairman Mas, who was the former chair for Libya Alem, was part of the list. And because of the fact that he was not a cabinet member, he was have to push out. Marietta was on the list as well. And that's one of the reasons why I actually chose him, so that they can believe that, hey, we can work together. But for me, I was looking at the objective of getting the right results or getting the right information in order to inform our people. So they had that name.
I understand that after nominated Marianta, you are now in a deeper coup plotter forum. Correct?
Yes, after nominated her, yes. After that went through at the Restoration Council, and then after Secretary Chris, Dr. Chanjo, Stateless, and Reverend Alson left their forum, the 4 people, after they left, they had to call me to call them or for them to talk and stuff like that. And when they had calmed down and they got them added back,
we noticed for a long time, ABS, the lying platform, did not report for a long time. They did not announce your nomination for C.
Exactly. That's one of the proof or the evidence that it really goes to confirm that they did not post it on their platform or their wall. So they did not post any of that.
So how did you manage to convince Chris, please? We are running out of time. How did you manage to convince Chris Ano and his song and the others to now believe that you could lead them?
I think it's our ability to talk to them. You have to talk them into this stuff. And then it was also brought to my attention about the fact that, one, I never showed up on ABS, and mindfully well that I was the first cabinet member that was invited to come on ABS. And I turned it down. That was before the HSS or the IG humanitarian draft. And I turned it down and I told Secretary Chris, I said, no, I don't think it's the right time or the right thing to do. Not when we have confusion going on in our struggle. Would you see me come and show up on his TV? I thought at the time when he invited me, it was going to be for ABC, so I'd accepted. But a day before, he put out the flyer and told me that, oh, I saw the flyer, it says ABS. I sent him a message. I said, that will not happen. So mindfully, where they're disgruntled that I did not show up on ABS.
Yeah, that was 1 week after the creation of the TV. And I'm aware of that situation because you discussed with me. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So the second incident is that I have never supported ABS financially. So I got that call. I said, oh, he has never supported ABS. He needs to send some kind of finance. That's why you saw that $500 check that you saw circulating around that I need to support Chris Anno. That's what the phone calls that came in. I need to send him Chris Anno support or something like that for him to give in. But I said the money was not an issue to me because I know that I want to find out the truth of this matter. So giving him $500 is not a problem. So I sent him $500, and that that's what you see circulating out there on social media. When he wants to come and accuse the president,
received your $500, he publicized. Now that I saw a caption, "The young shall grow."
I mean, you saw that. That's up to you to make that conclusion. But yes, somewhere along that line.
I want to say this for Ambazonians watching me. Prior to this time, I was aware of some things. I had posted something. But when I saw him came and said the young shall grow, I doubted you more. Go ahead with your story. I doubted you.
So
to be honest with you, I doubted you. Go ahead.
So now things were moving very fast. Remember that was during the week, someday like Wednesday, Thursday or so. Now the coup plotters kind of sense it. I don't know if they sense it. They wanted things to go really fast. I'm just come and use that word coup plotters. I don't want to call them that. I just said disgruntled Southern Cameroonians that are mad about one reason or another. So they wanted things to go very fast. So at the same time, now they start calling me into all of these meetings. Hey, come here, come here, come here, come here. Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President. I was just playing with them and going with the flow, as they're calling me into these meetings and wanting me to sign some agreement that, hey, you're going to have power only for 4 months, transitional period, and you're going to hand it over to a Saudi zone. That was one of the things they talked about. I just laughed and I said, I just played with it. I said, yes, you sure, sure that's going to happen, So after that, they started pressuring me to go either to Texas, to go there to do an oath. That Secretary Chris had to be there, or that the chairman is in Texas or stuff. They started pressuring me. I have to go on either on Friday or on Saturday. I'm like, what is going on? What is really going on here? So finally, they concluded that, oh no, Secretary Chris, let's do the oath ceremony in DC. I said, bingo. Now, in DC, we have to make sure that we get all of those evidence. I said, okay, fine. I'll book my flight. I booked my flight and everything to catch up in DC with the intention of seeing those evidence that they wanted to provide. So as I arrived there, the first thing when I arrived,
pause a little bit. So when you booked your flight, you told them before inauguration, you want to see the evidence.
Before even I do that, I was not even talking to. This had nothing even to do with Secretary Chris Dem and some of the other. It had to do with the person, the chairman of the Restoration Council and the chair lady of governmental affairs at the Restoration Council. And I made it clear to them I need to see those evidence. Even before then, I had asked them to give those evidence for us to see, because everything they are doing is just rushing. Mindfully aware that after I requested this thing, they did not give it. They did not put it out. Until when I arrived DC, I told them that evidence must come out. If it's not there, then there is no way that this oath ceremony is ever going to happen.
Okay, you told them that, wait, I like sweet things like this. You don't rush it. You take it slow. So you told them why in DC that the evidence, all of it must come out. If not, there'll be no inauguration.
Yes. I told them, once I was picked up at the airport by Dr. Fidelis Achanjo. I think he said a little bit of truth to that he picked me up from the airport. Immediately in his car, that's when I messaged Andrew that, hey, I still have not received those evidence. Now she sent me a video of the recorded Zoom meeting that he had with Tana and the rest at the Registration Council, the meeting that they had. And then she sent it through Telegram, so it took a while even for me to download it. And then I started watching it, all of these innuendos about $1,000, $2,000, and here and there. And then I called Miss Mola Edi, who is supposed to be the former chairman of the Restoration Council. Hey, I need that evidence of 150,000 pounds from CDC. I need that evidence of 30 million francs CFA that supposedly the president is collecting. She said, "Oh, doc, I have it on my other phone. It's at home." That's what he said. He's at home. I've sent for them to bring it. I said, "Okay, fine, bring it." So now when we got to, we were there at Sebastian Place. I'm going to fast forward here real quick so we can get to the hall. We were there at Sebastian Place, and then we were about to go to the hall. Actually, I was in the car with Secretary Fondi, and I told him I'm not really comfortable taking this oath. I told him very clearly, and he was the one driving. I said, I am not okay with this, So, but long story short, I said, okay, let's get to the hall.
I know that prior to this time, you texted me prior to this time. I don't want us to go into that text for now, because we're going to have episode 2 of this discussion with Dr. Tita, and the audios that will be played. Audios were recorded. We are keeping the sweeter for later. Ambazonians, this discussion will not end tonight. Just bear that in mind. So we have audios that were recorded. This was really an FBI mission, or CIA, whatever you want to call it. It took a lot for this to have been achieved, and we have audios. So prior to this time, you had to come up with an excuse. I think we had that discussion together, what excuse you're going to give for not taking for withdrawing and not taking the inauguration. And that excuse was about security. Am I correct?
I mean, security was honestly minute, even though it was made mention somewhere in that statement. The fact is that these guys had no evidence whatsoever in the impeachment process that they used against the president. And I was willing to take that, put myself on the line and my family to go ahead and carry out this investigation to show to the Amazonian people that, look, what these guys are saying is a lie. It's a full lie. So that is what I said. And for us to do that, you have to go into their system and pick up their position of leadership and tell them, okay, this is the situation. Show me that evidence. Show me that evidence. So when we went to the hall now, we went to the supposed hall at the church. The bishop was there. Asked Mola Idi, show me that evidence. Secretary Fondi will tell you. He was there. Mola Idi brought his phone. The other phone that he had. It's like you had 2 phones that you have. And one of them, the name he has on that contact, on that WhatsApp contact is Amba 1 Mola. And he's showing you some pictures that he got from some website. That, oh, this is proof that the president has 150,000 pounds of CDC. I mean, how dare you make up a story like this?
I understand that in the process of asking for evidence, you also fabricated your own evidence so that they can have confidence in you. You fabricated some evidence. You said some things. You fabricated. I understand you did that. What do you want to tell?
That was before even we went to DC. That was before the DC.
Yeah.
That was making them to have their trust. After all the fighting and stuff, like the others not wanting me to be part of it, and they thinking that, oh no, this guy is a staunch Sako supporter. You have to go in there and talk like a coup plotter. I see what you're saying. You have to make up all these stories and allegations against the president, all these lies, But I looked at it as a big.
Okay, Dr. Tita, pause. This is very vital. Pause. This is vital.
Yes.
I want to ask you a straight question now. You're not answering to me. You're answering to Ambazonians. There's an audio Mr. Arno played. It went out there. You actually talking to somebody who recorded and claiming some money you gave to the president, and he said he has used it somewhere, and blah, blah. And so that was part of your evidence. Do you want to rehearse that script to us and tell us what is the real truth behind that?
No, that was not evidence, please. Because first, the impeachment process took place at the Restoration Council. I was
Yeah.
never invited to the Restoration Council for questioning or for a testimony on any issues that they were supposedly putting against the president. I was never invited in any of those sessions. So let's get this fact really straight. Now, in one of the supposed coup plotters small meeting, they want to throw all of these false information. I remember that these disgruntled Southern Cameroonians, please let me not call them coup plotters. These are disgruntled Southern Cameroonians because they have objective minds in there. Some people that have objective mind, but they're just following, because selected few that are disgruntled are just directing them and they're just going with the flow. So in one of their meetings, and that's how their meetings are anyway, their meetings will always start with saying something, say something negative or bad against the president. If you can't say anything bad against the president, then you are not part of the team. So that's one of their meetings. So you just have to fabricate some stories and just tell them to make sure that, hey, they feel warm or they feel comfortable with me being in there. That's just how the coup plotters function. So they're just going to cut one of the clip. They will not play you the part that
So Dr. Tita, do you recognize the voice in the tape that was claiming a certain 1,000 you gave to the president for AFCON, 2020 or 21? Do you recognize the voice in that tape?
That is supposed to be my voice. Yes, that's supposed to be my voice. That was just a made-up story to make them feel
comfortable. You said it. So is it true? Yes. Is it true what you said?
No, it's not true.
So why did you lie? Why then did you lie?
In that situation, you had to do it because that was in a coup plotters meeting to make them to feel warm and to feel comfortable. Remember, we have a bigger objective that we are trying to accomplish here. It's not whatever who is saying against the president. They have made all false allegations against the president that the president stole my trip to Boya money. And then what is $1,000? It's nothing. So they've made all of these accusations against the president. It doesn't really have that much impact. The bigger impact is what we are dealing with at the struggle right now. That they've supposedly gone and team up and they're impeaching the president against allegations that are all false. So all of these little things I thought to me, even if I made up a story and, even in a way, I didn't even know they were recording me. But if I make up a story for them to feel comfortable, what is the end result? The end goal is for us to make the Southern Cameroonian, the Ambazonia people to know the truth. And this truth that the Southern Cameroonians are aware of now is bigger than all those small lies that we're saying there in the coup plotters forum or the coup plotters meeting, as you call it. So I have to do everything possible.
The good thing here is I wanted us to establish very clearly, because if actually you have agreed that what Mr. Ano played on his platform is your voice and that you said it, but your purpose for saying so was to win more trust. It is not true that the president did what you said.
Yes.
So that is what I want to establish. Now let's return back to Washington and how they were agitating when you were mounting the pressure of wanting evidence.
Yeah. So let's go back to the pressure stage. So when I was asking for the evidence, and Mullah, the former chair, Mullah Idi, came with that supposed evidence, which he had, like he has two phones, and one of them, in one of his phones, he had his name, Mullah, he says Amba 1, that's how the name is in the contact. It shows a conversation that he's having with some supposed Amba 1 Mullah, that's how he names it in his phone, and he's sending him pictures of these guys that he got from some website that they're there on the ground working in CDC. That's proof that the president has collected 150,000 pounds from CDC. I said, this is crazy. Where is the proof for the 30 million? He went through that same phone and he showed me one check from this Aero something that is written. The check was written for 732 or 33,000 francs CFA. Oh my God, that's the 30 million you're talking about. 732 or 33,000 CFA. That was written to some Aero something company.
That's about $1,300.
That is about $1,300, $1,400. Are you seriously kidding me? That you are talking about 30 million, and then it's not even written to the president. It's some company name or some check that he printed from somewhere. Man, I was so I told him that this is not going to happen, and you saw it when they went there. They tried for me to. They insisted on me taking the oath. I told them it will not happen. I told them more than 50 times that they're pressuring me to take an oath that I don't believe is supposed to be done. I told them that they got the bishop and all of them and Chris, they thought that they could talk me into it. The bishop created a room in his church for us to go and sit down. Mindfully well that while we are sitting down, we're having all of this discussion, they're already streaming on Zoom that they're waiting for their inauguration of their, how do you call it? IG recalibration for ground zero installation. So I did not even know that they were doing that, but it was brought to my attention later that that's what they were doing. So we went into the room, they sat there, they tried to convince me. You cannot convince me. You cannot. I mean, what could convince me is for us to have real information. We have to be honest with each other. We have to.
I've also told something, Dr. Tita. Dr. Tita, you told me, I'm privy to a lot of information already, Ambazonian, so I'm trying to make sure that you can get as much of what I already know. You told me Dr. Abongwa Harrison had written a speech for you to read during the inauguration and you rejected it. Now, just tell us some of the content. What you might not be able to say all. Just tell us a little bit what was in his speech for the president-elect.
Before I get to what was in his speech, I want to make it very clear here to the Ambazonian people that throughout this process, we've all worked together as a team to free homeland, and we have been able to achieve the results that we have achieved thanks to the great leadership of the president, but also thanks to everything that us Southern Cameroonians have been able to put together. I mean, the few Southern Cameroonians that have been sacrificing in the diaspora, to make sure that homeland is free. At some point, and which is the point that we find ourselves in right now, some people might say disgruntled, that's the right word I'm going to use here, and I'll be using it all throughout this show, for one decision, for one reason or another, because of little disagreement in opinions. And we need to be very careful, and I say this, and that's why I don't want to call my fellow brothers and sisters, some objective thinkers that I know in the revolution, that are apparently calling themselves coup plotters. Never accept to be used by anyone for them to attain their private motive that they have in this struggle. I'm going to repeat that again. Never accept, and this goes to Southern Cameroonians on the ground, in ground zero and in diaspora. There are so many Southern Cameroonians that have their individual agenda. And please, excuse me, never accept. I've been talking for too long. Please, fellow
do you want to get some water? We'll be rounding off shortly. Do you want to get some water, please?
No, I'm fine. Let me make this point really clear. And this goes to Southern Cameroonians and ground zeros, our ARFs, and Southern Cameroonians in the diaspora. Please never accept to be used by anyone to accomplish their individual agenda. We have come here collectively as a people to free homeland. That's one agenda that we have. But in that process, there are so many Southern Cameroonians that have their own individual agenda to accomplish in this process. So please never accept to, if something doesn't sound right to you, always question. And if it doesn't look right, don't go for it. I'm going to say this, because back to the question that Comrade Paddy just asked, in regard to the presentation or what to read before the oath ceremony, I requested that, yes, from Dr. Abongwa, and he scripted a 4-page document, you cannot believe it. And in just the beginning of the whole entire document was talking against the president completely, Dr. Sako, of which you know that is a man that Dr. Sako has sacrificed everything for this revolution.
Has entrusted with a lot.
Yes. So I mean, and let's just keep our little differences on the side. The bigger picture is what matters. Like I said, I can be removed from the position that I had as a Secretary of State, of which I was removed, and the Deputy Secretary, Dr. Yaya, is the one heading the department, HSS, right now. It's for the good. for our people, knowing fully well that it's for the sake of our people. It's not a problem. We cannot come and clink onto this position thing and say, you know what, nothing will move unless we destroy everything because we are not part of it. No, we have to collectively or truly look into where we can make an impact. There is so much that we can do to help our people. All we just have to do is just to look down on ground zero, what is happening. Look in the refugee camp, what is happening. Look in the prisons, the suffering our people are going through. You will find something that you can do to make an impact in the life of an individual, in the life of a Southern Cameroonian. You will find something. There is so much that you can only imagine. Knowing fully well that we have over 35,000 of our people that have been killed by La République du Cameroon, over 150,000 of our people sitting in Nigeria as refugees, over 250,000 Southern Cameroonians in neighboring French Cameroon, living there in a foreign land, in a foreign language, with no UN recognition as refugees, suffering there on the roads. Over 1.5 million of our people are internally displaced. I mean, the list is so large. Over 5,000 of our people sitting down in the colonial prisons. Our people need to be free. We have to collectively work together to make sure that we provide our people with the needs, with the stuff that they need for survival. Hopefully that this struggle will come to an end in the quickest time possible, with French Cameroon meeting us at the negotiation table for us to free to get the colonial masters out of our territory. Over 1.5 million of our children have been out of school. How many people? Over 15,000 of our mothers are serving are still living as widows. There's so many of our young boys are walking down the street, in fear because they are being targeted by French Cameroon. All of our young boys, all of our young girls are suffering. They're being raped. They've been forced into prostitution in foreign countries, trying to survive, dealing with all these challenges. And we are sitting down in the diaspora planning. Every day we go into any meeting is to think on how we can destroy this struggle because we don't have a position that we want. What is there in this position thing? There is no money to be made in this position thing. If you are there as a Southern Cameroonian, you hold a position in this interim government that you are doing what you are supposed to do. Trust me, at some point you will get exhausted. At some point you will say, you know what, let me pass it on to my brother or to my sister for them to lead. It's not an easy thing. All those that have fighting to stay into position, I don't know what there's actually there for them to gain, to be honest. So don't come and cause confusion. Don't come and cause destruction here at this interim government because of our individual interests. So, but I'm begging for Southern Cameroonians at home, because I know the boys are there on the ground, and those in the diaspora, don't listen to these individuals that have their individual agendas. The people that have their individual agendas. I said, look at the document that Dr. Bongwa sent to me, 4-page document. All the first stage is all about castigating Dr. Sako, castigating the president. I'm like, oh my God, do you think who's going to read this? I'm sweating. I'm sweating here. I'm like, who's going to read this document? You're going to ask the chair. You're going to ask the commenter. I said it was not going to happen. I said it right there in the room. I said it right there, even when we were there at the Sebastian Baruku's house. I said it's not going to happen. So don't even waste your time. So we went to the hotel and we went to the church. After when we went to the church, let me go back to where we were there at the church. If you had noticed, we were there at the church for more than 2 hours, 30 minutes. Some people say, Dr. Ebi, before people
all of that was just to cajole you to finally accept inauguration.
Yeah, I mean, they thought that they were trying to make me to accept it because I guess him making that speech will make it easy for me, so I don't have to write a speech, But at the same time, writing the speech that you are insulting, castigating the president, or the president was supposed to leave office. Why is he not leaving? Why is he staying? I mean, all of those nonsense. I don't even want to say it. It's a waste of time. But I was not there to come and do Dr. Bongwa's dirty job. He knows that. I can't be played like that. I can't. I mean, this Southern Cameroonian struggle did not start in 2016. The plight of the people of Southern Cameroon has been going on for quite a long time, since 1960. So I mean, we cannot come now and we think that because the picture of the people we see right now are those that are fighting for the struggle. This thing has been going on for a long time. So let me go back to the hall. That is where the most important thing happened, where they insisted, and the recalibration team were there on Zoom waiting for their inauguration. After 2 hours, 30 minutes, it was not happening. I mean, they tried talking to me. They got the bishop. We all sat in. I told them I am not comfortable taking this oath. The next statement I made, I am being pressured to take this oath that I don't want to. I said it to them so many times. And because I was in a town that was not mine, because of the fact that I went there by myself. Then I was concerned now about my security. Like, okay, what would these guys do to me? Even though, what are they really going to do? So after they pressured me, I told them over and over and over and over. They made some concessions. They say, oh, they're not going to record it. They're not going to have it online. They're not going to have it on Zoom. That was when it was brought to my attention that they were actually even trying to stream their stuff on Zoom app, which I did not even know. So they did that without my permission or without my authorization. So this is how these guys were doing stuff. So they have their own individual agenda that they wanted to do. So without my consultation or information, they were doing all of those things that they wanted to do. Yeah, so they said they were not going to do that. I said, oh, okay, so you guys were already streaming it online on Zoom. Okay, you did not tell me, you did not get my permission. They were not going to run it on Facebook. But at that time, I think the people that were in Zoom were already tired, So, and then at some point, after there's so much pressure, I said, let me play a fast one on them. There's one audio out there that really described what happened. Like these guys came to this place, they had no Bible or anything of that nature, and they were coming for an oath ceremony. That was true. After one point, I just said, okay, you know what? Because of all this pressure, let me just go and take it. When I noticed that they had no Bible or any of that, so I said, okay, let's do it. They just rushed there and tried to say that they want to record me, that I'm taking an oath ceremony and stuff like that with no Bible and stuff. So I rushed fully, and they took pictures and they said, okay, we are done. After that, I said, okay, fine. I went home. We went home to they ate, and we're very happy that they've accomplished their motive. And I'm thinking in my head, you guys have not done anything. You had no Bible here to take any oaths. I don't know what you guys were doing. So when we went, they ate and we went home. They were all happy. They later on dropped me off at the hotel. At 2:30, that's when I called the chairman. I called Chairman Kometa. I said, hey, Chairman. He answered. I think he was sleeping already. Yes, so he was sleeping already. And then he answered. I said, hey, did you know that there was no Bible? Do you know that there was no Bible in
this place, but then I thought that you should just say it. I wanted us to cut it to episode 2, but just say it.
So I said, do you know that there was no Bible in that old thing? The guy said, oh, yes, you are right. That's what the guy is like. It's like it dawned on him. At the moment I said that, one of my phones went off because I did not have the charger. And then the only phone I had on was the other one. And that's the other phone that I messaged you with that night that I've completed my investigation. And then you said, how did you go from nomination at the Restoration Council to investigation?
Yeah, at that time you wrote to me. So you told me, told me at that time you're done with the investigation. Prior to that time, you had recorded, you actually recorded the chairman of the defunct Restoration Council acknowledging that an oath or an inauguration has not taken place. You have that recording.
Yes, I have that recording, but it was not prior to that time. Actually, it was after that time. You said because when I noticed that.
Yes, you wrote to me that same night after what they have done, their inauguration. You told me, my brother, I'm done with the investigation. But you wrote that same night.
Yes. So after that night, once my phone went off, I was a little bit concerned because the chairman just admitted that yes, it's true that there was no Bible in that session, which means that there was no oath ceremony that took place. But I do not have that on record. Let me say this clearly. I did not have it at that time on record. And my phone went off immediately. I could not charge my phone because I had left my charger in Bariku's house. I forgot it there. And I tried to buy a charger at the hotel. They do not have any charger there. So I said, okay, since I had my other phone on, I would just work with the other phone. So when I woke up now in the morning, I was concerned about that. The fact that, hey, this process, what will happen if these guys go out there and start propagating this false information? Because this is what these guys are doing. They lie a lot. A lot of things that they say is a lie. They're lies that they say. So I said, okay, you know what? I catch up my flight, and I was up in the plane. I said, you know what? Don't worry. Once I get to my base in Tampa, and I pick up my car from the airport, I would charge my phone from there because I know I had a charger in my car. and then I will give them a call back. Fortunately, by the time I arrived Tampa, and by the time I charged my phone, the chairman Kometa had called me twice. So he called me that same night, and my phone was off. He called me again in the morning, and I couldn't answer because my phone around 9 a.m., but my phone was still off until I got to Tampa. So when I got to Tampa, I charged my phone. I saw his call. I immediately called him back when my phone was charged. And that conversation, I recorded it on my other phone. Yes, so Chairman Kometa, Mbariku, Chris Ano, Tianjong, all of those that are involved in propagating false information, Dr. Bongwa, I want you to know that conversation I had with Mbariku and Chairman Kometa, I have it recorded. That states very clearly that there was no oath ceremony, there was no Bible, and there was no oath ceremony. So whatever process you guys are doing, I want to make it clear to you guys so you guys know I have that recorded, and we can release that anytime. So I have that on record.
Thank you.
And even
Thank you
after the
much.
conversation, please, even after the conversation with the chairman Kometa and Bariku, the concern they had was that Secretary Chris was going to go out on Tuesday to talk about the supposed inauguration that did not take place, and he wanted to produce a flyer and needed confirmation from me that he should produce a flyer that he can go out and talk about it on Tuesday. I told them, no, do not talk. Wait until you get a confirmation from me, because I was rushing. I just arrived town.
Dr. Tita,
and I was rushing.
I'm going to cut you here right now.
Hold on.
I know Ambazonians. I want to cut you. Permit me. I'm cutting you at this point. This is ABC Amba TV production, and we want to carry you to another day. We have been here for more than 2 hours and talking to you, Dr. Tita, and you've given to Ambazonians sufficient information tonight. We're going to have some of the screenshots, the recordings. I'm going to give you some time to conclude, but we're going to have some of the screenshots of those fora and many other things that you will come back for an episode 2 to present in depth. There are other questions that Amazonian public will ask. But that being said, I want you to conclude now. We have just about 5 or 10 minutes to go. Yeah.
So let me say that because I told Secretary Chris not to put out that information and needed to get my approval before any information was going to go out. They became skeptical, and they kind of concerned now that, hey, it looked like since they did not achieve their goal, they have to pressure me into submission. So now that's when Secretary Chris ran out there and decided to do a show on Monday. That, there was supposed to be an inauguration went this successfully well on whatever I said. I did not allow that to make me to succumb to whatever they wanted to do. I could not accept to be manipulated or to be, forced to do whatever I think is not appropriate, is not the right thing to do. I will not do whatever they want me to do, even though they had made all kinds of suggestions about me just accepting the oath and me not even bothering. They were going to do everything possible. They were going to do the work. They were going to lead the struggle, and I just have to sit behind and I just be called Mr. President, Mr. President. See, that was something that they thought I was really interested in being Mr. President, So anyway, so that's what happened. So the secretary had to hurriedly rush out there to do that presentation in an effort to, kind of like pressure me not to give in on them, just to do whatever they wanted. But I did not let that to bother me, and I extremely wanted to inform the Amazonian people that this is this is what we are dealing with at the moment. We have a group of disgruntled Southern Cameroonians that are disgruntled or mad about one decision or the other that the president had made that they do not think it was in their favor or that they did not like. They all decided to group up together and try to want to fight the president. And even when it's at the destruction of the struggle, they are still doing it and they don't care. So we have to be very careful with all of these issues, and we have to really point them out. These people that are disgruntled and they want things done their way. I mean, Secretary Chris is known for that. Is notorious about that issue, that anything he wants, it has to be done his way. This is a fact. Either at the level of the executive or at the level of the Restoration Council, Secretary Chris is notorious and is known for this. So take it to the back, and that is known. It's a factual thing that anything that he wants, it has to be done that way. And if you have a different opinion, he's not going to take it. But the good thing about our struggle is that we have Southern Cameroonians of different educational background, different work experience, which is very good for us to come together collectively and exchange ideas and make the best decision for our people. It's uncalled for, and it's not necessary for any one individual to think that they are the only ones that have the knowledge about everything and not create the opportunity for others to chip in. There are a lot of them, that are disgruntled for one reason or another. I also want to talk about those that are mad, and I'm going to say this because they're all in the forum. Those that are mad because the president made some appointments. I don't know if it's called the CDO, the defense rep appointment. I want to make it very clear here that decision was.
I want you to complete on that. I want you to conclude on that. Please do that. It's very important that you do it. Please.
I want to make it very clear here that given the challenges that we are facing at the level of the struggle and the defense reps, that we had some defense reps in the struggle that were not listening or taking instruction from the commander-in-chief. It was deliberated in the cabinet forum and suggestions came up, of which it was later turned out at the level to the Restoration Council for the Restoration Council to make it the law that the president can appoint those defense reps, so that for easy transfer of information and implementation of projects. And I want to make it very clear here that the vice president, excuse me here, I want to make it very clear here that the vice president, Dr. Abangwa, is the one that did all the selection of the reps. And he's the one that went through all the process to select those that will be representing each counties. And that was not done by the president. As a matter of fact, there were even some people that the vice president went and picked to put in there that was not even recommended by their chairs. This is information that is known out there. So this was not done by the president. The president just came to come and review the final document and see where he could make the final changes and approve it. So, but all the blame out there is on the president. I want to also make it clear here that the idea or the notion that is going out there that the president has dissolved, the president took single-handedly dissolved the Restoration Council, given the challenges that we are facing, because this is one of the complaints that some members of the Restoration Council or some members of the government are saying. Given the challenges that we are facing, given the false information that the Restoration Council was looking into without even consulting with the president, and then given the fact that the LGAs, some LGAs have already withdrawn their members of the Restoration Council, their representative at the level of the Restoration Council. The president thought that since this Restoration Council that we have at this moment is not fully a representation of our structures that we have, he decided to make a prescription that no, let official meetings of the Restoration Council be temporarily suspended until after the ASSC, so that we can come back, all of us can come back and regroup, and so we can make the right decision for our people. So sometimes we have to ask and find out why. We have to seek to find out why these decisions are made. Decisions are not just made like that. The intention of the president is real and is to solve the problems that we are facing in the revolution. Our people need to know this. Because if we just allow it for the supposed disgruntled few, they're going to go up with their own thing and they push out a narrative out there, which is put out false information either to discredit or to destroy the president. That's what they're doing out there in order to achieve their own motive or their own agenda, which is either to put somebody that they want there or to put somebody that it's probably not going to get us to the independent that we are looking for. I want to say this very, very clean and clear that we need to be very careful with these people in the struggle that have their own individual agenda to accomplish in the struggle. So when they come to talk to us, we need to be very careful and look into these things in greater details. Let's be very mindful that when Mark Berata and Chris Anu start talking the same language, they think they want to soil my reputation. We need to be very careful. I get to question that. How is it that when Mark Berata is saying something, Chris Anu is saying the same thing? That information should be coming from somewhere. And I'm pretty sure it's coming from the same master. Thank you very much. But before I go, I want to make the Southern Cameroonian population to be aware about this, if true. We have more than 35,000 of our people that have been killed in this struggle. We have more than 125,000 or 150,000 of our people suffering in refugee camps. We have more than 250,000 of Southern Cameroonians living in neighboring French Cameroon as refugees with no UN recognition. They are suffering on a daily basis without having a place to stay or food to eat. We have more than 1.5 million of our people internally displaced in Southern Cameroon. Over 1 million of our children or 1.5 million of our children not going to school. That's our future that is there at stake. All of our young boys are living in fear on a daily basis because of they don't know what is going to happen to them. The Republic military is going out all over the territory, killing people just because of killing our people just because of the fact that they are Southern Cameroonians. We have more than 15,000 of our women, or even up to 20,000, as living as widows, and they have children. Children have been killed. Our hospitals have been burned down. Our homes have been burned down. Over 1,500 homes and over 500 villages have been burned down in this process. We cannot, our people are in pain. We cannot allow people with self-interest to come and destroy this struggle. You have to stand up as an individual, Southern Cameroonians at home and in the diaspora, to do the right thing for this struggle. You have to stand up, like I did, to stand up for the sake of this struggle and to do everything possible to make sure that those that have individual agendas are exposed and to make sure that homeland is free. I know for a fact that La République du Cameroon, last joker card to destroy this struggle, has been destroyed. And let's wait for the next
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tita. Thank you for, amidst your very busy schedule, offering to ABC Amba TV, I would say, 2 precious hours of your time. Our audience just want to sacrifice me alive. Please don't do that. This is a TV. We're going to have this program running all through the week, but just for those that are club members and you would have subscribed on our Facebook, just to reiterate, via the ABC Amba TV website, abcambatv.com, we able, as I speak to you right now, we are very able 24/7. So for those in the diaspora, you can actually watch ABC Amba TV on our site. Our app will be available sometime this month of March. The app on iOS and Android will be available for all to make very good use of it. We want you to subscribe, get ready. Club members will be able to download the app for free. If you're already a club member, you have very interesting things will come on the app. We're having one of the best news. We'll be producing one of the best news from Africa to the world. And we'll just give snippets of it on Facebook and YouTube. You obligatorily need to have our app and go to our website to watch our full news broadcast. You'll be having tomorrow 2 news. We'll have the lunch time news tomorrow with Onye Okpala, our lady. Have her give a news in the afternoon. And at 8 p.m. tomorrow again, we'll have the Undaunted Prime Reports, where she comes to make analysis and bring in serious debates on what is happening in the world, Ambazonia's narrative, and how Ambazonia's story could feature missions. There could be some adjustments or mistakes, but we've improved. To give a thank you, a very to the board members and the club members of ABC Amba TV for always being there for us. You took a few days of the challenges, got enough finances, and got for us to do this. When we wanted any upgrade, you're upgrading our systems, and we are planting. We have a project to plan ABC Amba TV studios across the globe in different parts of the world. We have a vision to compete with the big media houses. You can Hawaiian, BBC, whatever media house. We want to make us right. And like I told you sometime, we have caught the vision that Ambazonia deserves a place in the world of excellence and greatness. Nobody can from this very great service that we intend to do for nation. I hear some coup plotters, Dr. Tita says, disgruntled. There's no reason to be. If you are following the struggle step by step, perhaps you need more information, and we'll be bringing that via the news. You just need to go through our constitution and know who is a criminal and who is legal. Know who is unconstitutional and know who is constitutional. So I'm saying that for all those who are disgruntled, this is a time for you to come. This is the winning team. It is not possible for you to take the TV. Forget about it. You're not going to take it. First of all, because you are not, if it was about legality, if you had a legal procedure, you could have done so. But until you start learning to know that Ambazonia is a nation of law and that has laws that must be respected by Ambazonians, you will not be given a chance to go through the structures or institutions that you don't even know how they're fixed. I also would like to reiterate and encourage Ambazonians that are watching to say that the president is on top of the game as far as your national treasury is concerned. They are planning to, what they're doing, they're working for the oppressor. They want to distract us. They want to distract us from what we're supposed to do. They know that if we just do what we're going to do, the oppressor is going to be in pain. And so since they are not working for you, but for the oppressor, they know they cannot succeed, but they would rather just destroy instead of just accepting the failure. They have failed to impeach, first of all, because they don't even know how to do an impeachment. They have failed to remove the president because they are not strategic thinkers. They are just, like some of them are just disgruntled. And when you're disgruntled, you're filled with anger. You are blind. You do not reason. If not, how on earth is it impossible for some of these people to realize that Mr. Arnold lies like he breathes? How on earth? How can you not know that? A man who sits on his platform and tells Ambazonians one day that, oh, I know this, I'm the last man that will speak, and then comes the next day to tell you vis-a-vis the same situation that after all I have no evidence. Are you still listening to him? Like, seriously, come on. You should make good use of your time. This struggle is no time for talk shows and showman shows or Rockefellers or whatever you want to call it. This is a time for war. We need serious people to do serious things. And I would always tell you, big minds do big things. While they are wasting time looking for what story to fabricate, to vilify, manipulate Ambazonians, and to blackmail the president, we are thinking big, getting involved into big projects. Stakeholders are mobilizing strong like never before to meet in Washington and to make decisions that will change the face of the struggle. We're collaborating with big business people in China, trying to establish a big marketplace for Ambazonians where you can shop goods made 100% Ambazonian, designed by Ambazonians. We're creating a platform for young Ambazonians to express themselves and to take responsibility. We're competing with mega structures of the world. That is the vision. And the president working with his military men, thinking on how to beat Cameroon out of the land. And you want to do politics that you do not even know how to. If you want to do politics, you've got to learn it. I understand the evil side of politics, but for you to be effectively evil, you need some technology and some science. And if that is not known, you cannot reduce Ambazonia into a laughing stock. Some of us activists are confusing between buffoonery and activism, and that's quite unfortunate. Thank God the majority, thank God the righteous many have courtesy to read our constitution and to know what is right for us to do. We're going to be launching a youth program on ABC Amba TV. We have youngsters, Ambazonian youths, young men and women. We'll be launching that on ABC Amba TV one of these days. They have mobilized themselves from universities in the United States of America. Youngsters, some of them are not yet 20, some of them are early 20. These are people this platform will be encouraging. We're talking with them, talking via their universities. They'll be doing nationwide in the United States campaign to mobilize youngsters and to educate our youngsters from home. We're going to network these young men and women from all around the world, from China, from Germany, from wherever they are, born in Ambazonia, born out of Ambazonia by Ambazonian parents. It is a time when we will be reaching out, and ABC Amba TV will be used as that platform. There's so much in store. The future is pregnant with plenty, pregnant with beauty, and you can count on ABC Amba TV. On that note, We've had Moment of Truth, episode 2, episode 1, season 2 with Dr. Tita. Look forward to episode 2 with Dr. Tita. And I tell you, episode 2 is going to have a lot of things. It's going to have recorded speeches, screenshot from coup-plotted platforms, those individuals actively involved, some pretending, some actually spies, we know them, some those even plotting to kill the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. We have details, we have facts, and be rest assured that we have enough technology to link whatever pseudonym you are using with you that is planning evil. I want to advise someone, I hear he is a stateless citizen. My brother, where you are, I'm supposed to be fighting to ensure we Ambazonians are supposed to be fighting to ensure that you're free. Do not get yourself into dirty politics, something you know nothing about, or you know, or you are just dull like others and you cannot understand. Don't be used for something that can create issues for you. It's a time for you to reflect as to where you are. At least think of what to do, how to do it before you do it. Do not victimize yourself in something you know nothing about. When they ask you to go out and say something that's not true, at least behave like Dr. Tita. Ask them for some evidence. Don't get yourself nasty with nasty people. Should I say good night? I think yes. I should say good night to Ambazonians watching, and sooner than later, I'll be back again with Moment of Truth. It's been Tapa the King. Bye-bye.
Fellow Ambazonians, dear countrymen, despite the hike in targeted summary execution of our innocent people by Paul Biya's killer squads, I still believe we are now at the twilight of our political daybreak, emptying the combined worth and wealth of a lifetime fortune into the country of our collective dream.
A place we can surely call home.
At last, my people, the wind of total liberation is sweeping through Ambazonia, our priceless inheritance.
The land of our forebears.
A place we can surely call home.
A few years ago, a vicious dictator declared war on our sovereign nation of Ambazonia. It is a war we did not seek nor provoke, but are determined to muster every strength we can harness and continue sending the message to our enemy that we have risen to call home.
We have paid dues for everything. We pay tax for goods we buy. We pay fuel in our cars. We pay hospital bills and the dues for all other sacrifices.
I can give all I have for the one hope that I have.
Because I hate my CID, and I should be proudly Amazonian.
Let's get it straight. The freedom of Ambazonia will not depend on the free will of her enemies.
Independence will be but days away if we get it right with our CID back.
My dear comrades, I am appealing to every Ambazonian to register with the CID program.
We have no control over our distorted history, but with our CID, we can set the pace and determine the future of Ambazonia.
Yes, the hope for the future is in our hands. As an Ambazonian, my identity is conclusive. My right is guaranteed. My vote will always count as I pay my CID.
As an Ambazonian, I will shape the future with my CID.
With your CID of just $10 per month, the interim government is contract to fulfill all that you wish to be done.
Let us build a freedom mansion from the little blocks, which is our CID living.
There will be food for everyone, hope for every child, justice for every citizen when we pay our CID levy.
Yes, the dream we can realize. With my compulsory independence dues, CID, I have the opportunity to give to the next generation a greater nation, better than we inherited.
Yes, CID program is freedom made easy, freedom made cheap, freedom for Amazonia now.